Right now, deep inside your skull, your hippocampus is deciding which memories survive today and which ones disappear forever. And the neuroscientists who map this process admit there is nothing they can do to stop it. Every experience you had today, every conversation that mattered, every insight you thought you locked in started as a fragile electrical pattern. Not a memory yet, just a signal. Your hippocampus, your brain's filing system, has a window to transfer that signal into long-term storage. Most people have never heard how long that window is. Most people don't know it closes. And right now, without knowing it, you're probably burning through yours. The window is 4 hours, and what you do inside it determines whether today becomes part of you or simply ceases to exist. Here's what's actually happening inside that window. When you learn something, your hippocampus encodes it as an unstable pattern of firing neurons. That pattern has to be replayed, literally rehearsed inside your brain, before it gets written into cortical storage for keeps. And that replay has a biological deadline. The first window opens immediately after the experience. It runs approximately 4 hours. During that time, your brain releases a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, that physically builds the neural scaffolding needed to make the memory permanent. Here is what nobody tells you about BDNF. Cortisol, the stress chemical, suppresses it. Alcohol stops it cold. Distraction starves it. Every time you pull your attention away from quiet mental rest in those 4 hours, you are actively lowering the concentration of the one protein your brain needs to write today into tomorrow. The memory doesn't fade gradually. The chemical that builds it simply never forms, and the window closes on an empty room. The researchers who discovered this consolidation window cannot force it open. There is no drug, no supplement, no intervention that reliably replaces what the brain does naturally in those 4 hours. They've tried. Pharmacological BDNF delivery has failed in human trials repeatedly. Electrical stimulation of the hippocampus disrupts consolidation as often as it enhances it. The scientists who charted this process down to the molecular level still cannot shortcut it. What they've published stays inside journals. What they discuss privately is this: every default behavior of a normal modern evening is a consolidation killer. Bright screens, back-to-back content, the reflexive reach for your phone. We're getting to how to interrupt that. But first, the part that will contradict what you've been told. Reviewing your notes immediately after learning the advice you've heard since school can actually make this worse. Deliberate re-exposure too soon reactivates the hippocampus into encoding mode at exactly the moment it needs to be running replay. You are reopening a file the system is trying to save. The brain cannot write and read simultaneously at the same bandwidth. Spaced repetition works, but only when you respect the gap. The gap is the mechanism. Filling it with more input is the single most common way intelligent people unknowingly erase intelligent work. And this is why some meditation protocols make it worse for certain people too. Guided audio, ambient narration. Any voice directing attention outward keeps the hippocampus in receive mode when it needs to go quiet. Here is the rule high performers actually use, not the one they describe on podcasts, the one they use privately. In the first 90 minutes after any high-value learning, they do nothing cognitively demanding. No email, no content consumption, no performance review of what they just took in. They allow what neuroscientists call offline processing, a state where the hippocampus runs its replay sequences without interference. Some use a brief non-sleep deep rest, 10 to 20 minutes of eyes-closed stillness, not sleep, not guided meditation, just quiet wakefulness in a low-stimulation environment. Research out of the Weizmann Institute found this single intervention increased memory retention by up to 28% compared to filling the same window with normal activity. Then in the second half of the window, hours 2 through 4, they shift to low-stimulation movement. A walk, something physical and rhythmic. Not intense enough to spike cortisol, just enough to sustain BDNF synthesis as it peaks and tapers. Quiet first, movement second, Nothing that feels like productivity. That is the complete protocol. It sounds passive because it is. That's why nobody sells it. Tonight, your window is already open. Don't review, don't scroll, don't put on something to unwind in front of. Sit in something close to quiet for 20 minutes. Then walk if you can. That is the intervention. The one that runs while your competitors are filling the same 4 hours with more input and wiring less of it permanently into place. But the hippocampus isn't working alone in that window. There is another structure, one that has been quietly sabotaging your consolidation from the inside, and it doesn't respond to quiet or rest or any protocol that's ever been published. The researchers who found it have called it the most underestimated threat to high-performance memory in existence. And it's been active in your brain since the moment you woke up today.